The series begins in Korea, showcasing a large number of people who all appear to be employees, working diligently, even to the point of holding their phones as they head to work. It also highlights that Korea was very successful in investments at the time, with all employees working seriously. Additionally, online delivery services were starting to spread in Korea. A character wearing a sports jacket appears, and everyone is fascinated by it. The jacket becomes so popular that everyone starts searching for it, and even companies begin manufacturing the same jacket. The jacket spreads widely, and soon everyone is wearing it. The company's manager decides that on August 15th, they will sell about 100 pieces as a new release, naming it the Louie jacket. They set a price for each jacket, and their sales double. They successfully promote the product very effectively. There's only one jacket left, priced at around $10,000. The next day, Louie arrives, and everyone starts calling him the king of Louie shopping because of his great success. However, he begins to feel exhausted from overworking, as he is very good at his job, to the point that he eats quickly to get back to work. Mr. Kim runs after him to give him medicine, but Louie refuses to take it until he starts bleeding from his nose. He apologizes, saying that these are orders from his grandmother, Madame Choi. He then goes to work in his very luxurious car. His grandmother had ordered the staff not to let him leave the house, drive the car, or do anything that might harm him. Louie goes to a department store and starts buying everything in sight. He buys so much that the store gives him a gift. However, he is not pleased with the gift, but feels obliged to accept it. His grandmother, Madame Choi, returns from her trip and goes to the company where the employees talk about her and her grandson Louie. Suddenly, his girlfriend Marie shows up and scolds them. She calls Louie, but he is not in the mood to talk to her at all. However, he reluctantly answers and scolds her, telling her not to keep calling him, and ends the call abruptly. He then turns on the TV and sees a rural girl named Shil who is presenting a report. The moment he sees her, he can't stop staring, as if he is captivated by her. Mr. Kim tells him that he never watches home shopping programs, but Louie ignores him. Shil starts telling her story about living with her grandmother and younger brother. She has no intention of moving to another house. Louie asks Mr. Kim to find out where she lives so he can send her some new products, but Mr. Kim responds, saying they don't even have electricity. How will they use the products you're sending? Shil finds something very valuable, but she refuses to sell it to pay for her grandmother's treatment. She also mentions that her brother Nam ran away from home. Shil returns home, thrilled because she managed to get the money for her grandmother's treatment. However, when she gets home, she finds her grandmother has passed away and starts crying. It's raining, and there are storms, but Louie decides to throw a birthday party for David. Mr. Kim warns him that this might cause an accident in such weather. Initially, Louie doesn't listen, but when Mr. Kim tells him these are his grandmother's orders, he reconsiders, thinking his grandmother did all of this for him. Shil decides to take a train to find her brother, but she encounters a woman who appears to be a thief. The woman pretends to be sick, and when Shil goes to get her something to drink, the woman steals her bag. Shil searches for her bag, but can't find it. She goes to a blind date as she's approaching 40. But she's entirely against the idea of marriage. During the date, Louie messes things up by mocking the woman, pointing out all her flaws. She gets upset and leaves. Back to Shil, she's sitting at the train station with no money. She tries to report the theft to the police, but they don't help. She decides to find someone to buy her herbs. She sees a man named John and tries to persuade him to buy the herbs, but he refuses. Eventually, he agrees when she tells him the herbs are very rare. When he asks for the price, she says $1,000. John is skeptical, wondering how rare herbs could be priced so low. She explains that she needs money urgently, which is why she's selling them so cheaply. John manages to trick her, buying the herbs for $100, and gives her his phone number, telling her to call him for the rest of the money. Shil keeps looking for a place to stay, and finally finds one with difficulty. Louie decides to escape, and Mr. Kim sees him but can't stop him. When his grandmother finds out, she gets very sick. Louie feels terrible and decides to visit her. When his grandmother recovers, she decides to transfer everything to Louis's name. Shil continues her search for her brother, suspecting one person, who turns out to be Louie. The story then flashes back to Louie driving back from France, but he is followed by cars, and it's revealed that his uncle is behind all of this. Because his grandmother decided to transfer all her assets to him, Louie ends up homeless, suffering from complete memory loss. He even gets beaten and humiliated, with everyone mistaking him for a vagrant. People start giving him money out of pity until Shil comes across him, mistaking him for her brother. She scolds him, claiming the jacket he's wearing belongs to her brother. She takes him to the police, thinking he's a thief, but the police have no evidence against him. They point out that many people wear the same jacket and they let him go. Shil then decides to take him with her. When his grandmother learns about this, she falls seriously ill. Louis follows Shil around, and when he eats, she pays for his food. She even takes him to her workplace, which turns out to be his own company. Louis mocks her for working as a cleaner, but she retorts saying she may be a cleaner, but at least she's not a beggar like him. She tells him to wait for her there, but because of his behavior, he gets kicked out of the company. Shil then calls Jong to ask for the rest of her money, but he ignores her and refuses to give her anything. When she finds Louie waiting for her outside the company, he asks her to get him some coffee. She agrees, and afterwards she takes him to a sauna where he changes his clothes completely. Louis admits that he's always afraid of being beaten, and Shil tells him she spent a lot of money on him. He asks her to promise that she will stay with him until he regains his memory and finds his family, to which she agrees. Marie, meanwhile, is crying over Louie, and her mother tries to comfort her. Her mother tells her that she's not actually upset about Louie's death, but rather about losing the chance to marry the heir to the company, which means she won't gain anything now. Louie asks Shil for money, and she reluctantly gives it to him. Louie's grandmother becomes critically ill, leading his uncle to take control of all the assets. Feeling very pleased with himself, Shil keeps calling Jong, but accidentally spills coffee on her phone. Louie finds some money, but he's accused of stealing it. Shil arrives, but she only has $50, while the woman demands $100. Shil is forced to pay the rest, and they are both kicked out, left hungry. They go to a place to eat, but everyone stares at them because of how they eat. By coincidence, Shil sees the woman who stole her bag and starts chasing her, telling Louis to stay put. She gets on a bus, but fails to catch the thief. However, just when the thief thinks she's escaped, she looks back and sees Shil still chasing her. Shil eventually catches up, treats the thief's injured leg, and learns that she came to Seoul to find her grandson. The thief apologizes, explaining she stole the bag because she had no money. Shil agrees to let her go in exchange for the dress she's wearing, which belonged to her mother. Afterwards, Shil goes back to look for Louie, who is still waiting. A group of girls sees Louie and mistakes him for someone wealthy. When he tells them he has no money, they think he's joking, so they take him with them and start searching him. Finding no money, they beat him up, causing him to remember some fragmented memories. Shil arrives and gets beaten up as well, losing all her money in the process. She scolds Louis for letting them hit her, but he has no other option but to call Jong. She tries calling him, but he doesn't answer. Shil ends up walking to work, and Louis asks to go with her. She sneaks him into the company without anyone noticing. He tells her he wants to sleep, so she takes him to the bathroom, telling him it's the safest place to sleep without being seen. While he's sleeping, Louis hears a noise and finds Jong, who starts chasing him but fails to catch him. Louis gets into an elevator with Marie, who starts suspecting he might be Louie. She chases after him until Shil intervenes, helping Louis hide. She scolds him for not following her instructions and asks her boss to find her a cheap place to stay. Meanwhile, Jong repairs his phone and wonders why Shil hasn't called him, unaware that her phone was stolen. Jong's parents, meanwhile, sold the herbs Shil had left in the fridge for $5,000. When Jong finds out, he angrily confronts them, asking why they did that. Shil eventually finds Jong again and yells at him for not answering her calls, accusing him of being a thief. Jong pushes her, causing her to faint. Marie, reviewing the security footage, realizes that Louie is still alive and is shocked because she believed he was dead. A strange man named Sung invites Louie to eat, making Louie pay for the meal. Sung is curious about Louie's story, but Louie explains that he has amnesia and remembers nothing. Jong takes Shil to the hospital, where she is treated for malnutrition. When she wakes up and sees Jong, she starts scolding him, but he gives her $4,000, telling her to keep $1,000 for the hospital bill. Shil is stunned and overjoyed, thanking Jong profusely. Louie waits for Shil, and when he sees her, he is very happy and takes her out to eat. When she asks him why they're eating outside, he tells her there's a bug inside. She goes back in and kills the bug immediately. As he looks at her, Louis begins to remember seeing her before. When he asks her, she tells him it's the first time she has seen him. His grandmother is very sad about him and even refuses to eat, but Mr. Tim brings her the food that he used to love. Shil goes to the market with Lou, and they buy a lot of things. They go out to eat, and he asks her to buy him clothes. He buys a lot of clothes and then asks her to buy him a phone. At first she refuses, but eventually she agrees to buy the phone. When they return home, he tells her that the things are too heavy for him to carry, so she leaves and goes to the police station. Giving the police officer her number, she tells him that this way she will be able to find her brother. However, the officer replies that her brother must have the phone and they also need a number. He promises her that they will try to find her brother. Later, she returns home, and Shil puts up a curtain to separate herself from Lou. Mary asks her father if Lou still has a twin brother. He replies that he doesn't. She then tells him that she saw someone who looked exactly like him at the company. He recalls the time when he gave him the car keys, intending to kill him and take all his property. The next day, Shil washes both her clothes and Lou's. She notices that his clothes have the name Lou on them. Song tells her that the name suits him, and they start calling him Lou. They invite Song to join them for a meal, and he ends up eating all the food. While Shil is sleeping at night, she thinks about her brother. The next day, she goes to her job, and someone comments that her clothes are not nice. He wants her, but she ignores him and walks away. He runs after her and makes her a small flower, placing it on her dress, saying that it now looks much better. She is very happy and goes to work in a good mood. When she arrives at work, she finds herself working in the promotion department. At first, the employees think she's there to clean the office, but he comes and tells them that she will be working with them and will be on probation for a month to assess her capabilities. When Mary hears this, she goes to tell everything to her father, who happens to be the head of the company. He calls for John and scolds him. John replies that he did this because they were short-staffed. Shil begins her new job, and they ask her to use the computer, but she doesn't know how, so they are surprised and laugh at her. They make fun of her and ask if she has a phone. She gets very excited and tells them that she does have a phone. Lou searches for his name online but doesn't find anything. Song comes to him, planning to have dinner together. He tells him that they should get a rice-making machine. Lou orders one online, along with many other items, even though they don't have any money. Shil returns home and starts cleaning while Lou watches strange places on TV. He tells Shil that he has been to that place before. Song comes over and proposes a deal. In exchange for money, he will help find her brother and Lou. She agrees and they start searching, distributing pictures everywhere. When they go to the market to buy a few things, Lou ends up buying a lot. He sees a music box, and as soon as he touches it, he begins to remember his old life. But the memories are blurry, and he becomes very tired. Shil takes care of him. His grandmother refuses to eat and visits the places Lou used to love, reminiscing about their memories together. The next morning, they have breakfast, and she tells him that he was very sick the previous day. He replies that he wants to go out to search for her brother, which makes her very happy, and he starts following her everywhere. When she asks him why he's following her everywhere, he replies that he likes her. She is happy and goes to work. She starts learning more about using the computer and researching the company, remembering when they told her that the company's heir had died. However, Kong sees her and scolds her, asking her to bring him the important files he needs. A stranger calls Lou and tricks him, claiming to be from the financial oversight department, and asks him to transfer all his money. Lou falls for the trick and gives them the $2 million they had. They realize they were scammed, and Lou feels guilty because it was Shil's money. When Shil returns home, she finds that he has prepared food and left a note saying she shouldn't look for him because he's upset about losing all her money. Lou sees a dog and remembers his dog from when he was young, calling out to it. Shil comes to him and he tells her everything, including how he wanted to discover his identity. He tells her that he recognizes the dog, but the dog's owner comes and takes it away. Song tells his mother that Lou looks like he's from a very wealthy family. Shil scolds Lou and leaves, but he runs after her, apologizing repeatedly. When they return home, Lou immediately starts eating as if nothing had happened. Shil notices that he has bought many things, so she scolds him. Lou gets scared and runs to Song's place to eat with him. Song's mother scolds Lou, telling Shil that Lou is probably lying and pretending to have lost his memory. A picture of Lou's uncle appears, and Song tells his mother that he feels like he's seen him before and decides to visit the company to see if he recognizes him. Shil goes to the police officer searching for her brother and tells him everything, including how a scammer tricked Lou and took all their money. The officer tells her that they will try to track him down, but it's difficult to catch phone fraud crimes. Shil returns home and brings food for Lou. He tells her that when he has a lot of money, he will buy her plenty of it. The next day, Kong tells Shil that he wants to launch a new product and improve herself. Meanwhile, a person calling himself Lou the Shopping King criticizes their products, causing the employees to believe that Lou might still be alive. Lou and Song go to the shopping center, and Louie feels like he's seen this place before. At that moment, Maria's mother sees him while he's shopping, but Song notices and they escape before anyone can call the police. Louie calls Shil and tells her that he's at the company's entrance and wants her to come out to give him food. She agrees, and Kong sees Louie, but doesn't realize who he is. Maria's mother calls her husband, Louie's uncle, and tells him that she saw Louie in a car talking to Kong. However, when Louie arrives, he sees his uncle from a distance and gets scared, running away. When Kong is questioned, he denies everything because he doesn't recognize Louie and says it's just an ordinary person he doesn't know. The uncle becomes suspicious and goes to the person he had previously hired to kill Louie, saying that Louie must not have died and that someone else must have died in his place. When Louie returns, he finds a chair on the street and takes it home. When Shil comes back, she finds the house in a mess and scolds him, asking if he bought the chair. He replies that he found it on the street and brought it home. She then starts teaching him how to clean the house. Song's mother gives Louie a task to peel some garlic, and when he gets tired, he buys an expensive pair of glasses and other things to help him peel the garlic. Shil comes home from work and scolds him again, but later apologizes and they sit outside. Louie explains an idea for a project, which involves a bottle design. Shil shares this idea with Maria, who is thrilled and steals the project idea, presenting it as her own to everyone. Shil is shocked, and they go to celebrate Maria. In the bathroom, Shil confronts Maria, who tells her that she actually saved her, because if Shil had presented the idea, it would have been thrown away. Shil leaves, and the employees continue to talk about her until Kong arrives. Shil is upset on the way home, but when she gets off the bus, she finds Louie waiting for her, which makes her very happy. They go home together. The next morning, she finds Louie cleaning her shoes. When she gets to work, she finds a gift on her desk, and the employees suggest that it must be from Maria. Shil takes it to throw it away, but Kong approaches her and tells her that he knows everything and that the project idea was hers. Shil is overjoyed because this acknowledgement is enough for her, and the project becomes successful, with the bottle design spreading everywhere. One night, Shil becomes very ill, and Louie takes care of her all night. Song's mother learns that Shil is sick and prepares food for her. The next morning, Louie wakes up to find that Shil has already gone to work, so he goes to her office. Louie's uncle discovers that the person who died in the accident wasn't Louie, but someone else. He then looks up and sees Louie in front of him. Louie spots Shil and runs towards her, and his uncle is shocked by what he's seeing. Shil takes Louie away, and a colleague from work sees them holding hands, but doesn't know what to say. Louie then tells her that he is her boyfriend, which surprises her. Shil leaves him and goes to tell the rest of her colleagues about Shil's boyfriend. When Kong hears this, he gets angry and leaves. Louie's uncle meets with someone, gives them Shil's name, and asks him to find out what her connection to Kong is. When they return home, Shil finds the house in a mess again, and her boss, Kong, arrives and starts yelling at her, asking how she could let someone like Louie live with her. Song's mother tells Louie that Kong must be in love with Shil because he used to visit her regularly when she was in the hospital. Louie starts feeling jealous. Shil explains everything to Kong, telling him her entire story with Louie. However, Kong is upset and tells her that it's not appropriate to let a homeless person stay with her, but he's only saying this because he realizes he's starting to have feelings for her. He tries to convince Louie to come live with him in his house, feeling like he's seen Louie somewhere before but can't remember where. Kong tells Song everything, and Song says that Kong likes Shil, which is why he wants Louie to leave and let him be with her. A man working for Louie's uncle gives Song's mother a lot of money to tell him everything about Louie. She tells him all the details, and the man reports everything back to Louie's uncle. The uncle fears that this might be a plan between Louie and Kong. Louie tells Shil that Kong asked him to live with him and mentions that Song's mother thinks Kong is in love with her. Shil is shocked when she hears this, but Louie asks her not to leave him. She assures him that she will never abandon him because he took care of her when she was sick. She also tells him that the thing she fears most is thunder and lightning because it reminds her of the day her parents died. Louie holds her hand and comforts her. Kong keeps thinking about Shil, and when he sees her, he takes her and Maria on a trip to Busan. When Maria finds out, she can't stand it. When they arrive, Shil is happy, and Louie calls Shil to find out where she is so he can go to her. Louie's grandmother and Mr. Kin see comments online about the glasses, one of which is from someone named Louie the Shopping King. They are shocked, and Louie's uncle calls Mr. Kin, asking him about Louie because he's afraid that Shil or Kong might tell him that Louie is still alive. Louie arrives at the island and tells Song that he feels like he's seen this place before. Louie almost sees his grandmother, but his uncle quickly takes her away before she can spot him. Louie then goes to Shil, but she scolds him for coming here, which makes him upset. Mr. Kim tells Louis's grandmother that he saw a comment under the name Louie and that Louis must still be alive. She becomes very happy, but Louis's uncle shouts at him, saying it's impossible. He makes sure to get Kong drunk until he's completely out of it, and he instructs the grandmother's maid to report all her news back to him. Meanwhile, Louis tells Shai and Song that he feels like he's seen this place before. Shuri is very happy with the view, and Louis suggests they stay there for the night. However, Song refuses and leaves them. As Louis starts to remember things from the past, he becomes very distressed. Shur tries to calm him down, and then they return to Seoul. Shur comes up with a plan that everyone loves and is very excited about, but Mary becomes extremely jealous. Kong tells Shur that he's going to extend her contract for another year, which makes her very happy. When she returns home, she tells Song and Louie that her contract has been extended, and she invites them to celebrate with a meal. Song suggests that she needs to change her appearance for her new job, so they all go out for makeovers, but they end up looking quite frightening. Louis buys her a flower, but while crossing the street, a car hits him. The driver turns out to be Mary, who is shocked when she realizes it's Louie. When Louis regains consciousness, he can't remember anything and asks Mary for 3,000 won. When she asks if he remembers her, he says no. She waits for him, and when he finally sees her, he tells her everything. She insists on taking him to the hospital despite his reluctance, and he returns home upset because they spent 3,000 won on the hospital. Meanwhile, Mary has taken Louis's number and calls him, asking to meet. As they talk, she realizes from his way of speaking that he is indeed Louie. She immediately goes to her father and tells him everything. Her father confirms that he knows Louie is alive and instructs her not to tell anyone because he is the one who deserves the fortune, not Louie, who worked hard for it. The next day, Shur tells Louis that she has always dreamed of having a refrigerator. She then heads to work, and Louis starts searching for a nice fridge to surprise her with. He becomes very popular at the shop, and everyone starts asking him for recommendations on good products. However, when a stranger asks him about a product from the company where Shar works, Louis says it's very bad. The news quickly reaches Kong, who immediately knows it's Louie. He confronts Louie and scolds him, telling him that Shur could lose her job because of this. Louie is given an ultimatum. Either she loses her job or he moves in with Kong. Louie agrees, but on the condition that he gets her the fridge. Louis calls Shuri and invites her to the cinema, but when they arrive, it turns out to be a horror movie. They both get scared and leave right away. As they walk, Shur sees a ring she really likes and wants to buy, but Louie doesn't have any money left. He then tells her that he's going to live with Kong, which makes her upset. When she returns home, she finds the fridge and is stunned. Louis tells her that he got it in exchange for moving in with Kong. Shar sends a message to Kong, thanking him for the fridge, and insists on paying for it. She also asks him to take care of Louie. She then turns off her phone and keeps sending messages to Louie because she's worried about him. Louis, too, is worried about her and misses her very much. Later, Louie and Song continue their search for Shai's brother. They post his picture online, and after they finish, Louis takes Song home, where they eat all the food in the fridge. However, when Kong arrives and sees the mess, he gets very angry and makes them clean up. After learning from Song that Shur is the one giving them money and taking care of them, Kong becomes even more furious and decides to put Louie to work at a shipping company so he can learn to fend for himself. But Louis struggles with the work because he's not used to it and comes home exhausted. Kong ends up having to take care of him. Song then notices a stranger in the area and informs Louis that someone was murdered in that place 3 months ago and that the killer hasn't been caught yet. Louis gets very worried about Shil and rushes to her. He leaves a message for Kong telling him that their agreement is off and that he's returning the washing machine and the fridge. Shil is overjoyed when she sees him. The 3 girls who had previously beaten her up and taken her money see Yuknan's picture and call the number. When they meet her, they assume she's there to get back at them and return the money. But when she explains that she's Yuknan's sister, they tell her to prepare the money and they'll tell her where he is. Then they leave. When Mary visits Shi's house, she is surprised to discover that she is living with Louis. As they are together, Mary calls Shi, and when they meet, she asks her about Louis. Mary tells her everything and reveals that Louis has lost his memory. She explains that she recognized him when she saw him wearing the same jacket as her brother. At that moment, Mary realizes that the person who died in place of Louis must have been her brother Yuknan. She gives Shil money to help find her brother, which makes Shil very happy. However, when Shil takes the money to the girls, they deceive her again. And it turns out they don't know where her brother is. On the other side, a stranger breaks into Shi's house and attacks Louis. When Shi returns, she finds the police at her house and becomes very worried about Louis. But it turns out it wasn't him who was attacked. When Louis comes back, he is concerned for Shil and confides everything to Song. Shil calls Kong to check on Louis. Meanwhile, Mary tells her father that the person who died in Louis's place was Shil's brother. Her father takes Louis's number from her and calls him, but a nurse answers, saying that the phone's owner is in surgery. Louis's picture appears on television, and Mary's father orders his wife to go to Louis's grandmother and make sure she doesn't see the TV at all. The police find fingerprints on a hammer, so they summon the officer who knows Louis and Shi. The officer tells them that it's impossible for Louis to kill someone. The police ask Louis if he has ever used a hammer before, and he says that he used it once to peel off something but can't remember much because of his amnesia. He is scared, but Shil tries to calm him down. Kong arrives at the police station, and they find no footprints matching the criminal's shoes. However, Louis begins to describe what the shoes might look like, shocking everyone, even Kong, who then decides to let them live with him. They are overjoyed at the offer. Once they move in with Kong, Kong becomes protective of Shil, telling her to stay away from Kong, but she scolds him. Meanwhile, the grandmother sees Louis on television, and she can't believe her eyes. She is overjoyed. The maid immediately calls Louis's uncle to inform him of everything that has happened. Mr. Kim heads to Seoul to look for Louis. The next day, Louis tells Shil that he couldn't sleep because he was thinking about her all night and admits that he is jealous of Kong. When they are about to leave for work, Louis insists on accompanying them to drop them off. Meanwhile, Mary's father instructs her to ask Shil where she's currently living. When Mary sees Shi at the company, she asks her, but she, afraid, refuses to reveal anything. She lies, saying that she is staying at her neighbor's house. However, Mary doesn't believe her, and when she visits the neighbor's house, she meets the police officer and asks him about it. He tells her everything and confirms that they are living at Kong's house. Louis's uncle arrives at Kong's house and is shocked to see him there. We then flash back to Louis taking Shil and Kong to the company. He feels upset and calls Song, asking him to come over. Louis confesses that he wants his memory back just as it was before. After finding out that she and Louis are living at Kong's house, Mary calls her father, angrily explaining everything. But her father calms her down. This prompts her father to visit Kong's house, where he tells Shil and Louis to hide. When he opens the door, he starts searching every corner until Louis accidentally knocks something over. At that moment, the uncle asks if someone else is there. He enters the room and searches, but they have already hidden. Kong scolds him, saying he can't behave like this since it's his house, not the company. Louis's uncle accuses Kong of having a relationship with Shil, which is why he promoted her from a cleaner to a staff member in the promotion department. But Kong defends her, saying that she is very talented and has proven her worth. Louis's uncle then threatens to send Shil to the company's branch in China before leaving, clearly upset. Shil overhears the entire conversation and later apologizes to Kong. Shil tells Kong that they will leave, but he objects and insists they stay, so they agree to remain at his house. Meanwhile, Mr. Kim goes to the place where Louie bought the flowers. The shop owner tells him that Louie bought an orange flower and mentioned that he was buying it for the first love of his life, confirming to Mr. Kim that it was indeed Louie. Kong contacts Louie about work, prompting him to return home and change into his business attire. When he arrives at the company, everyone is impressed by him. Kong initially seems ready to confront him but refrains due to the presence of other employees. Instead, he introduces Louie as their new colleague. Louis begins to interact with all the employees as if he were their boss. When Louis starts working with Mary, she is shocked and immediately informs her father. He tells her there's only one solution. They must get rid of Shil. The police manage to catch the criminal thanks to Louis, who had been helping them all along. Louis tells them that he was making coffee and went outside to pick up Shil from work. The man his uncle had hired took his place and was the one who got attacked. When the employees return from work, they find a note from Louis listing the tasks they should prioritize in the company, along with an organized plan. Mary goes to meet Shil to tell her that her brother has died. Just as she is about to reveal this, Louis arrives, forcing Mary to hide before he sees her. Later, Mary's father takes her to her grandmother's house and instructs her not to mention Louis because they are just one step away from having all the assets transferred to his name. Shil decides to return to her home since the criminal has been caught. She tells Kong that she won't go to the China branch because she's still searching for her brother. Kong responds that he won't let her leave, not even to transfer to another branch. Shil packs her belongings and returns home with Louis. Louis orders a lot of food and they are all very happy. He even sends a lot of food to Kong. Louis asks Shil what she wants and she tells him she wants to visit the ocean. So he takes her there immediately. They spend the day together, feeling joyful and content. Louis buys her a new pair of shoes, which makes her very happy. They also visit a book fair, and when Louis picks up books in English, he reads them fluently, surprising himself and Shil as well. He asks her to film him while he reads books in multiple languages, telling her that he wishes his memories would come back to him. Shil asks him what the happiest moment of his life is, and he recalls something significant in his life. When he asks her the same question, she responds that the happiest moments of her life are happening right now. This makes Louis very happy. Meanwhile, the policeman visits the place where the music box is sold and asks if there's someone named Louie there. A woman tells him that Louie is the name of the company owner's grandson who recently passed away. The policeman is shocked and insists that Louie is still alive. Louis and she return home and Louis asks her to prepare some food for him. When she asks where he is going, he tells her he has a surprise for her. He goes out to buy her flowers, but finds the shop closed, which makes him very upset. Louis' uncle calls a lawyer to transfer all the assets to his name as quickly as possible. Just then, his wife enters and tells them that Louis is still alive. The uncle tells the lawyer to leave and come back later, then angrily confronts his wife. She reveals that she told everything to the policeman who was looking for Louis, informing him that Louis is the grandson of the company owner. The policeman starts piecing together the events related to Louis. Shil waits for Louis, but on his way back, he is forced into a car by some men. Shil becomes extremely worried and contacts Kong, but he tells her that Louis hasn't come to him. They then report Louis's disappearance to the police. The policeman informs them that Louis is very wealthy and is the grandson of the company owner where Shil works, shocking both Shil and Song. Louis's grandmother learns that he is alive and is overjoyed. They explain to her that Louis had been missing because he lost his memory. She thanks her son for finding Louis, who tells her that Louis is on his way to them. When Kong learns the full story about Louis, he is shocked. Song asks him how he didn't recognize Louis when he saw him. Kong explains that no one really knows what the company owner looks like. Song assumes that Louis abandoned them once he learned of his wealth and left them behind. Despite this, he is happy that Louis has returned to his family. Mary's father arranges for her to meet Louis, but she is nervous and afraid of how he will react when he sees her. When Louis arrives, Mr. Kim hugs him tightly, revealing that Louis is the company president. Louis is happy, but quickly starts looking for his phone to call Shil, but he can't find it. He desperately wants to return to her, but Mr. Kim insists that his grandmother has been waiting for him for a long time. When Louis's grandmother sees him, she hugs him, triggering a flood of memories, and he faints. She takes care of him until he wakes up. Meanwhile, she misses him deeply and starts imagining him everywhere, even on her way to work. Louie's grandmother tells his uncle that she will give half the company to Louie and the other half to him, but his uncle, being greedy, wants the entire company for himself. Louis wants to go to Shil, but his grandmother stops him. Louis, feeling hungry, starts eating in a strange manner, surprising everyone. He tells Mr. Kim that he wants to see Shil and asks for a large sum of money, but the maid becomes suspicious, thinking he might be a con artist or a thief. But Mr. Kim insists that he is sure it's Louie. He explains that Louie is behaving this way because he lost his memory. Shil goes to work, and her supervisor asks if Louie has contacted her or spoken to her. Shil says he hasn't, which surprises her because Louie used to always follow her around and couldn't do without her. The supervisor suggests that Louis must have abandoned her after discovering he was wealthy, which makes she very sad. However, when she opens her computer, she finds a message from Louie telling her that he is fine and will see her soon. This cheers her up significantly. Meanwhile, Mary keeps glaring at Shil with resentment and starts overloading her with work, hoping she'll quit. When she returns home, she finds that Louis has prepared a surprise for her and brought her flowers. She is very happy but refuses his request to live together, telling him that he now has a new family and a different life. Although Louis wants her to live with him, she declines. Louis even brings gifts for Song and his mother, which makes them very happy. While returning with Mr. Kim, Louis decides to buy a new house for Shil and Song to replace the one they are currently living in. Mary later meets with Kong and confesses her love for him, but he rejects her, telling her that he doesn't love her and knows that she's been using him. He yells at her and tells her to leave. Louis, unable to sleep, calls Shil and tells her that he can't sleep without her. He also promises to fulfill all her wishes. Meanwhile, the policeman reviews security camera footage until he sees Shil's brother attacking Louis and forcing him out of his car, then taking the car himself. This confirms that it was Shil's brother who died in the accident, not Louis. The policeman visits Shil and tells her that he has found her brother. He takes her with him and informs her that her brother died in Louis's place because he stole Louis's car. Shil is shocked and struggles to believe it. Louis confides in Mr. Kim that he loves Shil and starts asking more about his past life, learning that he didn't have many friends and was known as the shopping king Louis. When Shil learns that her brother has died, she is devastated and begins reminiscing about their memories together. The employees find out that the company's grandson is actually alive and wasn't the one who died, but Mary dismisses them, saying they all knew this. Louis confronts his uncle, asking why he didn't recognize him as the company's heir and a family member when they first met. His uncle claims he thought Louis was just someone who resembled him. Mary enters and is shocked to see Louis. She tells him she's been searching for him, but Louis treats her coldly, and her father reveals that they were friends when they were young. Louis then tells Mary that he doesn't love her and that he loves Shil instead. Shil, meanwhile, breaks down in tears, recalling the policeman's words that her brother stole Louis's car. Just then, the doorbell rings, and Louis's grandmother arrives. Shil realizes that she has met her before. Louis's grandmother thanks Shil for taking care of him, but she apologizes, explaining that if her brother hadn't stolen Louis's car, none of this would have happened. She tearfully admits that it was her brother who died. Louis's grandmother tries to comfort her, but then asks her to stay away from Louis. She agrees, leaves the house, and resigns from her job. She sends Louis a message telling him not to look for her because she is leaving. When Kong sees Shil's message, he is upset and tries to call her, but her phone is turned off. Everyone is saddened when they find out that Shil has left and abandoned everything, including Louis, who refuses to eat, drink, or sleep because he is heartbroken. He decides to search for her and goes to Song to ask where she is, but Song initially refuses to tell him. However, under pressure, Song reveals her location, and Louis immediately goes to find her. She returns to her old home, and when Kong finds her, she asks how he knew where to find her. He tells her he learned everything from the policeman. Mary discovers that she has left her job and confronts Song, who reveals Shil's whereabouts. She goes with him to find Shil. Kong is with Shil, and they are enjoying each other's company when Louis arrives and sees them together, happy. In a moment of jealousy, Louis punches Kong, but quickly apologizes. Though Kong doesn't accept the apology, Louis questions Shil about why she left him, but Kong intervenes, taking Louis aside, as he is unaware that Shil is doing this because of her grandmother and brother. The next day, Shil treats Louie very harshly, telling him to leave because she doesn't love him. Louie leaves with Kong, feeling deeply hurt by Shil's words. Kong then decides to tell Louis everything, but before he can, someone crashes into them, and this triggers Louis's memories. He remembers that it was Shil's brother who died in his place and starts crying, realizing he was the cause of her brother's death. Louis begins to recall his memories with Shil and feels guilty for being the reason her brother died. A month passes and Louis has completely changed. He even names his teddy bear Shy. It is revealed that Kong resigned from his job, and when the employees ask Mary about it, she says she doesn't know. She tells them that the new manager will be Louie, who was Shil's lover, which upsets them. When Louis arrives, he decides to take over Shil's office and is very pleased with it. Kong and Shil open an e-commerce company specializing in farm produce, and their company ends up competing with Louis's. Louie meets Kong and yells at him for resigning. He tells him that he doesn't know who Sheila is and gets angry at him, but ends up working with him and becomes his driver. Sheila comes to clean the house and realizes that Louie had been there. They don't tell her that Louie bought the house and put it in her name. Louie keeps waiting for her until she falls asleep. The next day she goes to work, and he cleans the house for her. He even keeps an eye on her until she gets on the bus to work. Mary finds a rose on her desk and thinks it's from Louie, which makes her happy, but it turns out to be from Song. When she asks Louie to go on a date with her, he yells at her. Later that night, it starts raining, and Louie remembers that Sheila told him she's afraid of rain and thunder, so he decides to go to her. When Kong calls and finds out she's not feeling well, he goes to her immediately. Louie sees them together and gets very upset. Louie decides to travel to France, so he says goodbye to his grandmother, goes to say goodbye to Song's mother, and sends Sheila a message telling her he's leaving. When she reads it, she gets very sad. He also sends her a gift containing all their memories together, and she cries every time she reads the letters he sent. But it turns out that Louie didn't travel. Instead, he went to Busan to relive his memories with Sheila. By chance, he sees Nano and is shocked and happy to see that he's alive. But when he wakes up, he's afraid to report him to the police and runs away. A bicycle hits Louie and he loses consciousness. Sheila, who has work in Busan, finds Louie homeless again and not remembering anything. She takes him and calls Mr. Kim, telling him that Louie is with her. When Mr. Kim sees him, Louie runs away and gets on a yacht. Sheila follows him, and as they are about to leave, the police officer calls her and tells her that her brother is alive. She's shocked to see her brother coming out of the yacht she's on. She hugs him and cries, telling him she's been looking for him for so long. He gives her a phone with a video from Louie, where he explains that he promised to bring her brother back to her and shares the whole story. Louie recounts how, on his way back to Korea, he saw some young men on motorcycles who started blocking his car. When he got out of the car to confront them, they threatened him unless he gave them everything. Louie gives them everything, but as he's crossing the road, he gets hit and loses his memory. He then runs after Nano and hugs him, happy to have found him. He tells Nano that Sheila has been looking for him for a long time and shares everything with him. He tells him that after the gang leader took the car, he got into an accident and everyone involved died. Louie had planned everything so that Sheila would be reunited with her brother. Everyone comes together, and she is overjoyed with what they all did for her. They head back, and as they get into the car, they argue about who gets to sit next to Sheila. When they get home, Louie doesn't want to leave, but Song's mother convinces him to go. Meanwhile, the man Mary's father hired to kill Louie regains consciousness and calls Louie, threatening to expose everything. Louie gets very scared and goes to Louie to make sure no one tells him anything. When the phone rings, Louie answers, but Mary's father arrives and forces him to hang up. Louie becomes suspicious of him. After leaving Louie's place, Mary's father meets the man he hired and demands a large sum of money, threatening to tell Louie everything if he doesn't get it. The man agrees and comes back the next day to hand over the recordings in exchange for the money. Louie takes Sheila out for a meal, and she's happy. He invites her to his home where she brings a gift for his grandmother, who is very pleased with it. Sheila gets sick from eating too many sweets, and her grandmother thinks she's pregnant and gets very excited. When Sheila returns home, Song's mother also hints that she might be pregnant. Nano struggles with his studies and gets scolded by Louie for not understanding anything, But Song's mother reassures him, asking if he really understands anything himself. When Louie returns home, he finds Mr. Kim holding a bouquet and learns that he and Kong are in love, which makes him very happy for them. Louie tells Jong about the girls who took money from them and scammed him. Jong decides to take revenge on them, beats them up, and brings them to Louie. Louie forces them to peel things until they repay all the money they took from him and Sheila. Louie goes to the company to see Sheila, and when Kong gets tired of him, he suggests they enter into a partnership. Mr. Kong agrees, and Sheila agrees on the condition that they don't change the prices. They all agree, and Kong decides to take a vacation. Louie hugs Kong and tells him that he loves him and is happy to have him around. When Louie returns to the company after a long absence, all the employees are very happy to see him. He introduces them to the new team. Mary is shocked when she sees Sheila and Kong. Louie moves his office opposite Sheila's. Mr. Kim gets frustrated with Nano because he still doesn't understand anything despite all the effort. Louie returns home with Sheila, who finds that Louie has cooked for her, and she is very happy. When she sits down to eat, she is surprised to find that he has bought her the ring she always dreamed of. She's overjoyed, and he puts the ring on her finger, making her very happy. Mr. Kim goes to find the box that Louie told him about, but he can't find it. At that moment, the man Mary's father hired to kill Louie enters. When Louie hears his voice, he feels like he recognizes it. The man, who now has the money to escape, meets the woman who had previously stolen money from Sheila. She tricks him and takes the bag from him, and he can't catch her. He then returns to Louie, but Louie feels that he has heard his voice before. Mary's father arrives and takes the man away, yelling at him in the car. The man tells him that the money was stolen and demands more money, or he will tell Louie everything. Sheila buys a ring for Louie as a gift. Louie goes to Sheila with lots of gifts, which makes her very happy. He doesn't let her do anything, and he tries to cook, but messes everything up. Mary's father manages to hide the man until he can get more money for him. Louie returns home and asks Sheila, but she tells him she will answer after the singing competition during the trip. The next day, they go on a trip, and everyone is happy. They play games, and Sheila's on Kong's team. The man who was hired by Mary's uncle suspects that Mary's father reported him. When he sees the police officer, he escapes through the window, but the officer was only there to buy a book. When Mary's father arrives, he searches for him but can't find him. Mary's father is very afraid that the man will tell Louie everything. The singing competition takes place and Louie wins. He asks Sheila if she agrees to be with him, but she's unsure how to respond. When it's time to sleep, Sheila calls Louie to meet him. Mary sees her and gives her her jacket to wear because it's cold. Mr. Louie sneaks up behind Sheila and kidnaps her. Louie finds the ring and is happy but begins searching for her. When he calls her, her phone is off, which shocks him. Mr. Louie calls Mary's father and tells him that he has kidnapped his daughter, which makes him very worried. Everyone wakes up and joins Louie in searching for Sheila. Mary's father is relieved when he hears from her. However, she tells him that Kiol was kidnapped instead of her daughter, so they realize that she was taken by mistake. They check the surveillance cameras and confirm that she was indeed kidnapped. Lou is confused about why she was kidnapped since she doesn't seem to know anyone, but they assume it's because the kidnappers wanted money from him. Mr. Joe finds out that the person kidnapped is not Marie but Cheol, so he calls Marie's father and threatens him. Marie's father asks him to release Cheol and promises to bring all the money, but Mr. Joe refuses and gets into his car. While driving, he gets into an accident. The nurse calls Lou to inform him that the owner of the phone is in the hospital, so they all rush there. They see Mr. Joe and are shocked. The police tell them that he's the same person who caused the accident at their house. Everyone is surprised, and the doctor tells them that Mr. Joe is in critical condition and might die. When Lou goes to check on Cheol, he finds her safe and feels incredibly relieved. Marie's father asks his wife to deliver the box from their house to Lou and urgently calls the company's lawyer. Lou continues to care for Cheol, and she is happy to see the ring on his finger. She tells him that she loves him very much, and they return home together. Marie's father remembers when he told Lou that he thought Lou had died and regrets his actions, saying he never wanted him to die, just to be in an accident. Lou asks Mr. Kim if he knows how to drive, and he admits that the first time he drove, he got into an accident. He tells Lou that his uncle was the one who gave him the car, making Lou suspicious of his uncle. Lou confronts his uncle at his house, and his uncle begs for forgiveness, explaining that he only did what he did because their grandmother decided to leave everything to Lou. He never wanted Lou to die. He just wanted to make sure their grandmother sent him back to France. His uncle cries, and Lou forgives him but tells him that another person died in the accident instead of him, so his uncle decides to turn himself in. He contacts the lawyer to return all the properties to Lou. Afterward, Lou asks about the money taken from Marie's father, and it turns out a woman had stolen the bag with all the money. They arrest her based on the description, and Shil is shocked to see her at the police station. She begs for the money to be returned because it belongs to someone she knows, and the woman agrees to give it back. Mr. Joe hands over a recording of his conversation with Marie's father, proving that he never intended to kill anyone. Marie's father is relieved and receives a very light sentence. He thanks Shil for everything she did for him, and he sends a letter to Marie and her mother, telling them how much he loves them while crying. Mr. Kim shows Shil's grandfather a photograph that includes Lou's father and mother. The grandfather recalls old memories and cries. Shil breaks open a piggy bank and sends the money to Lou, suggesting he use it to buy a gift for his grandmother. He buys her a new pair of shoes, and she's overjoyed with the gift. The next day, Lou goes to wake up his grandmother, but finds that she has passed away, leaving him devastated. He and Shil visit her grave and then return home. Lou stays with Shil's family for dinner, but Marie's mother calls him, saying she has something important to show him. Mr. Kim asks Nan why he ran away, and Nan explains that he wanted to be part of a documentary film. He remembers the first time he and Lou saw the documentary, and how impressed Lou was with Shil, wanting to make her happy. They call Lou and they watch Shil's documentary together, making them all happy. Kong takes on a big role in the company, making everyone proud. He invites Shil to dinner, but she declines, saying Lou wouldn't approve. Mr. Kim proposes to Kong, and she joyfully agrees. Lou decides to throw a big party for them, and gifts them a car to celebrate. Marie recalls Lou telling her it was obvious she loved Kong, and confesses her feelings, only to be rejected. She sends him a message, admitting that she truly loves him. Kong is happy, and seems to start developing feelings for her. Lou tells his friend Song that Marie is in love with Kong, which makes Song sad because he had started to like her. Lou decides to propose to Shil. Just then, Marie's mother calls and shows him an important video. When Lou watches it, he is overwhelmed with joy. He calls Shil, asking her to meet him the next day because he has something important to show her. She agrees, and the following day, he takes her to the cinema. The video turns out to be a company celebration marking 30 years since its founding, with a special award given to Shil's mother and father. Shil is wearing the same dress her mother wore, and when she sees them, she bursts into tears. She also notices that Lou was there and wanted to give her a gift. She gives Lou the gift and tells him she doesn't want it. Shil is shocked by what she sees because she has known Lou since they were children. The story ends happily as they get married, and the series concludes on that note. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our recap, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out more recaps on our channel. Take care.